Hi, my name's Bob Whipple, and I'm also called the Trust Ambassador. I've been asked by the people at GroSum Top Talk e-magazine to answer 5 simple questions about culture. So in each case, I'll put up a quick slide of the question, and then I'll come back and answer it to the best of my ability. I think of organizational culture in a sense of contrasting or comparing an organization to an organism or a person. We're born, we have a useful life, we hopefully do good things in our life, we eventually grow old and die. And I think organizations go through that kind of cycle, most of them anyway. And I think that there are several parallels in that metaphor that are quite helpful at defining the culture of an organization. For example, I believe that, well, we know that people need oxygen to live. In an organization, I think the oxygen is trust. We need trust in order to be able to survive, for the organization to survive. A second parallel is in nutrition or nourishment. Human beings need nourishment in order to survive and grow. In an organization, that nourishment is provided by the customer interface. Customers are the reason for us being in existence, and they provide the nourishment, or money, if you will, for the organization to grow. So I think there's a lot of interesting parallels that you can think up in that metaphor. If you tried to describe the health of a person by looking at all the individual molecules and parts of the body and put them all together, you'd fall far short because you're missing the whole point. You're missing the soul. That's what defines a person. And in an organization, the soul is the culture of the organization. That's what provides and makes the difference. When I was studying for my MBA, I was studying mostly behavioral science type courses because that was my major. And I noticed an interesting trend. When the textbooks on business and organizations get into the area of culture, they make a list of things that define the culture. And here's a typical list that I took out of a business book. What defines an organization's culture? Physical structure, what we look like, language and symbols, rituals, ceremonies, gossip, jokes, things like that. What else defines an organization? Well, stories, heroes, beliefs, values and norms. And when you think about it, this list does describe the culture of an organization, but I think it falls far short. I was always disappointed with those things because those are all physical things. But what it leaves out is the emotions of the people in it. The culture of an organization is really defined by what's going on within people. So let me add some questions that I think take us further down the road of defining the culture. For example, is there a high level of trust within the organization? To what extent do people have the opportunity to grow? Do people feel safe and secure, or are they basically fearful? How do people treat each other? And not only at their own level, but at higher and lower levels. Is there mutual agreement between management and the workforce? Is there respect? Is the culture of the organization inclusive or exclusive? Do people feel like winners or losers at work? Is the culture one of reinforcement, or is it one of punishment? Are managers viewed as enablers, or are they viewed as barriers? Are people trying to get into the organization, or are they trying to get out of the organization? That's a big one. What's the level of satisfaction in the organization? Can people speak their truth without fear of reprisal or retribution? Do people follow the rules, or are they trying to find ways to get out of following the rules? If you add those questions, I think then you have a more holistic view of what the culture in the organization really looks like. The employees form the substance of the organization. They are the glue that keeps things going. So without employees, an organization is really non-existent. So I think it's important that employees be recognized as being the carriers of the culture. And it occurs at all levels, not just the higher levels. Even the lowly janitor or something like that will have a great influence on the culture of the organization. It's a holistic system, not a bunch of individuals. I'll mention a couple of problems that occur to me when we talk about culture. The first one is that I think managers have a tendency to misunderstand motivation. They use the word motivate as a verb, like something I can do to you. And that shows a misunderstanding about what motivation is. Motivation is something that's intrinsic. The only person that can really motivate you is you. The role of leaders is to create the culture and environment in which you work so that you choose to become motivated. So whenever you hear the word motivate used as a verb, your ears should perk up and think about the fact that, hey, that's a misunderstanding of what motivation really is. A second area I'd like to highlight is that I think many managers believe that the workers are creating the problems in the organization. They fail to see it's their own behaviors that create the problems in an organization. For example, if you have a leader that indicates that, oh, we've got some employees here that are lazy or they're careless or they are apathetic, generally, if you take those same workers and provide an outstanding leader, you'll find that they turn around very quickly. So it's really not inadequate workers that cause problem in an organization, but inadequate leaders. And so when I go into an organization and see all kinds of problems at lots of levels, I really try to encourage the senior most leaders to take a look in the mirror, because that's generally the source of the problems. It is the behaviors of the senior leader that most affect the culture of an organization all the way down the line. If you want to change, innovate, or create the culture of an organization, there's a very simple formula for doing it. First of all, you've got to get real. This is not an academic exercise. This is getting into the hearts of the people that work there. The first thing to do is to define your purpose. What are you really trying to do? Who are your customers? What are you trying to accomplish? Get your mission, what you're there for. And then create a very clear statement of where you're heading. The vision of the organization needs to be made crystal clear to everybody in it, because then they will participate in it and really enjoy the ride, because we're getting somewhere that's good. Then you go to work and create the values of the organization, which are bedrock beliefs about how this organization is going to behave, and then the behaviors, the specific behaviors within those values, so that people can see this is what we're supposed to be doing. And once we've identified those values and behaviors, the trick is to always follow them. We always do what we said we were going to do, even and especially when it's difficult to do. That's when values and behaviors help us. So since we've got all that material documented, that's the way to change the culture of an organization, by being consistent and always following those values and behaviors. I hope you've enjoyed this little summary about culture. I have a lot more material that's available on my website, www www.leadergrow.com. Thanks for listening.